Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy G-Max, also known as George Smith, bringing you the race face action this evening. Even though we had the likes of load shedding, I've had a little bit of help from a friend, of course, a familiar name from the endurance series that we did over at Suzuka, Alan Patterson. How are you doing, Alan?
George, how are you, buddy? Good to be here, and glad to be able to assist you guys in the Raceface League with
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
tonight's coverage, man.
G-Max, also known as George Smith. You know, for me, it was an instant call. I knew that I was going to have no power, and it's just great that I could pick up the line, get hold of you, and you could do the broadcast and join me alongside doing the commentary. I would have been alone otherwise. And
all good.
Of course, coming into Monza, round 5 here. It's in the rain, and we are in the 16th minute of the remaining time for qualifying. So they had 20 minutes to go and put times out. So the guys all here have gone out, done their outlaps, and we're now starting to await some times onto our timesheets at this time. And I mean, nobody yet setting a time for us to really recommend. So we can see that the conditions, Alan, not really going to be easy, are they?
I know. The guys tonight are going to have to be on their toes. Monza in the dry on its own is a challenge all on its own. But just to add a little bit of wet, moisture, the guys are going to struggle. So we're going to have to look for supreme car control here tonight. And here we go. First times are coming in.
They are indeed. So it will be Cody Sherritt to kick things away, and he will set a 154.594 as an opening time, and it will be instantaneously topped by international competitor Darren King. He's going to go and do a 154.024, almost doing a 154 dead. Going to get into those 153s. We saw the 153s coming out in the practice sessions earlier on, so it will be a definite fight out towards the front. The likes of Darren King and Jordan Sherritt really, they've been getting those qualifying pace times out in practice already, so interesting to see what they will do. And of course, a full grid of 20 cars here to compare their times as well.
Yes, also interesting for me, Darren King in a Ferrari doing pretty well at Monza. We know from a little bit of history in some of the other leagues and races, the Porsches do struggle here as far as outright pace goes, but that's an incredible lap by Darren King. And I think he's actually on another one right now. So I'm going to just change this view to our timing view, which gives us an option to see his delta, George. And as you can see, he's 3/10 up on this lap already.
He is indeed 3/10 up. So like we said, going to get into those 153s early on. And with 14 minutes to go, these are the times that we want to start seeing pop up. And of course, Darren King going to have a little bit of traffic in front of him to deal with at this time. And that driver in front of him will be setting a lap time as well. So it's all about trying to just get yourself past where you can. But we've seen him lose 2/10 already coming down. Does he hold on to it coming into the parabolic very deep and wide? And it's going to cost him coming through there. So King going to have to give it another stab, give himself a little bit of air out on track. A man that has managed to keep it out in just that blistering pace. Mr. Lewis, Brian Lewis, with a 153.8 coming out. Alan, I mean, these are lap times that you would not expect these guys to be pulling in the wet conditions that we see.
No, definitely not. This is it's going to be impressive to watch. And look, you've still got the Sherritts to get up there. Rowe, Kieran Patterson, there's a couple of other quick guys that are still going to set times. Watching the timing boards at the moment, everybody's actually on a quick lap. I'm just going to jump through some of them. Cody here at the moment, 3/10 up. So as you said rightly earlier, the 153s are easily attainable in wet weather. So the guys are getting good pace considering what the conditions are.
Yeah, they are indeed. And I mean, Cody Sherritt's got his brother Jordan to give him a little bit of help on track, I'm sure. And as we can see here, sitting in 4th place at the minute, 3/10 up on his lap time, trying to get some work done, trying to get himself more towards the front. I mean, Monza's always a difficult place to start. It always is.
Yeah.
If you're doing so in the wet, it's even harder. So Cody here really trying to get himself out of that infamous mid-pack, and he catches a big slide out, but it won't be enough, Alan. He's going to put it into the wall and have to retry another day. 12 minutes, he's still got time.
Yeah, that was he was going hard there. I mean, he went through that last chicane, as you saw, and he was almost half a second up on his time. So he was pushing the envelope, and it was just a little bit too much. He ran out of grip, and that was that. Ryan Ottens at the moment, also 3/10 up. Ryan sitting down in 10th place in another Porsche, and trying to get higher up on the grid. As you say, it can only help you to start as far up the grid as possible. But then again, wet weather, first turn, which is 500, 600, 700 meters from the start finish line, a very tight right hand chicane. It might actually be beneficial to sit back and let the crowds tear into that section and then see what happens when you get there. He also spins. This is commentator's curse tonight, George.
No, you know what? It's the fact that the cameraman here is sitting on the outside of Ascari, and Ascari in the wet. If you take too much of any of those curves and you unsettle things, especially in the rear-engined Porsche there, as we see Ryan Ottens losing it in that Kai K Porsche. Switching over to the likes of Paul Gerber in the team Tryhard GTR. The GTR always been a strong car in the wet, and I've seen a lot of impressive things coming out from the GTR with the good tunes. So currently almost 3/10 up on his lap time, 2/10 for the moment coming into Lesmo 2. So still some time to find. I mean, you really want to make all your time up on that exit of Ascari. You want to keep all the time that you've made up through the rest of the circuit, because it's really then a straight down to Parabolica and really just one more turning zone coming down. So with 2/10 up, you've made up your time here, and you just want to hold on to it or find some more through Ascari.
Yeah, this is about getting the exact perfect line through Ascari and carrying your pace, which he's done perfectly. Look at the delta here is up at half a second. So one big braking sector and then through a Parabolica, and this should put Gerber up at least a good 2-3 positions by the looks of things.
I mean, it's potentially going to get him 5th place from the likes of Adrian de Beer, as suddenly some lap times come down in the wet and change things up. So guys getting their times in. Drops Paul down here to 9th at the moment. 8th. It's not unacceptable.
Yeah, 1st to 5th. They're the only, if we just have a look at this at the moment, 1st to 5th place, there's only 5 cars within a second at the moment, and then the 6th place further down, they're a good 1.5 to 2 seconds to the next 5 cars. So you can see there are some people that have they've got this the wet weather a lot more down patted than some of the other guys, and they seem to, if the setup's right, they're going to do good. If the setup's not right, they're going to seriously struggle, George.
You're totally correct on that side. It's all about the setup work coming down. I mean, a man that's had plenty of time doing some setup work, Jason Webb, has entered the survey. He's got himself up into pole position for now with a 153.4. So the low 153 is starting to come out. Of course, Jason Webb, I believe a bit of a late entry into the Raceface season. I know he was struggling with a wheel for a long time, and if there's any insights into, if it is just a late season coming out from Jason. But of course, a South African drift legend, sponsored up by Monster Energy and Ford Performance. So for him, it's the wet conditions, a little bit of oversteering back end.
I see where you're going with
it. Yeah, you see where I'm going with it, right? I mean, he's King is only 200ths off the time.
Yep.
So Mr. Darren King is holding on, and then look at Jordan Sherritt. He's just 300ths off that. So, I mean, it's so close between the front 3, and then Lewis, who's 3/10 off the pace of the likes of Jason Webb, is there. But, I mean, it's the front 3 really dicing it out to see who can sit with that crown at the end of quali.
Yeah. Just focusing on Brian Lewis here. Also in a Mercedes AMG GT3. So he's the second of 2 in the top 5. With Jason Webb. So as I was saying earlier, guys are commenting the Porsche is a difficult car to get quick around Monza, but clearly the Mercedes is it's a solid package, and Jason Webb's proving that, and Mr. Lewis up here almost half a second. This is also going to bump him up possibly into third position. No, he'll go further. This could be a pole position.
His pole position for
Exactly.
Brian Lewis if he holds on to this. So this is, if this is a valid lap time, it hasn't been invalidated, which it shouldn't have been.
No.
He's going to get himself up the order. He hasn't lost anything coming out through Ascari.
Yep.
Now down onto the loud pedal he goes, and you can just see how many cars are out on the track trying to get a qualifying lap in. He's definitely not going to be too hindered up. He does have a Kai-K Porsche in front of him. Arten's going to just go deep. He knows that he's not setting a time, so very valiant effort. But he's lost so much time coming into Parabolica. Alan, look at him. He gets all loose on the exit too. And that is just going to cost him all the time. And he's going to actually go dead on even, all thrown down. He stays fourth place.
Wow.
He could have had it.
One corner, over half a second down the drain. Dash. That's tough going. All right.
I think the Kai-K Porsche there also kind of threw him off where he was going to go into it. And, Arten's did a good job to jump out of the way where he was. And, unfortunate coming out. But, 6 minutes to go of quali, you can still bash out another time. You've potentially found he can potentially do it. And another man who's potentially doing it is Mr. Cody Sherritt.
Look at this,
almost
man.
a second up on his time. So he wants to get up into that party of being only separated by a tenth. He doesn't want to be down in the lower tenths club, as they call it.
And he's going to a whole second quicker. Bang.
He is indeed. So he will dethrone Lewis. So he will slot himself up to fourth. You almost heard what you were saying about the Porsches being dethroned by the Mercedes champions. And it's an interesting point that you did bring up there. Of the 3 Mercedes that we have in the server, 2 of them are sitting in the top 5.
Exactly.
They were in the top 4.
Yeah.
Hendricks, of course, down in 20th place. I don't think he's actually set a qualifying lap yet. So, that Mercedes could just be out of position at the moment because, just hasn't been able to set a lap time. So, interesting to see where the Mercedes come out. The GT4 variant, Alan, is so strong at Monza as well. So, I like always comparing these things, seeing what comes out strong. And, in the hands of these drivers, it really does come down to it could go anywhere.
Yeah. Look, I haven't had the experience. I do have it. I haven't put much time into it, to be honest. I've been very busy doing streams and other bits and pieces, but I'll take your word for it. If the Mercedes is good as Lewis goes nowhere. Also, again, he lost half a second through Parabolica.
Yeah, he just does not have the closing out of the sector coming down, and if he can, he has the potential to find himself up in pole position. Coming down into the first chicane, he's already 2 tenths up on his lap time. So that just goes to show you, when you're finding that kind of time into all around the track, you just know that there's potential to go faster. And even that said, right, if he doesn't manage to do it now, when the race comes out and they've got an hour and 20 minutes on track to do so, if he continues this sort of pace progression where he progressively gets faster and faster in those conditions, he's going to have a great race on his hands.
I agree. I'm just watching his control and what he's doing on the wheel and his inputs. And again, he was almost 3 tenths up, which has gone through the 2 chicanes as he goes through Lesmo 2, and it just hangs on to it. But he looks to be pretty much on the ragged edge. So I don't think the car's as stable as it looks, George. He's kind of fighting it all the way around.
Yeah, I think the external cameraman's view always gives a little bit of a biased viewpoint, and you have to really get on board to see what the Dragon is doing. And we can just see there, clips some curve on the exit of Ascari, does get a little bit loose, manages to hold it together. But like you said, the more you're struggling, the more that you're not able to focus on those braking points. And we've seen it happen here before into Parabolica, losing some time. Does clip some grass, does go quite deep again, but this time around, is he going to hold it on?
He did the same.
Same thing has come through, sort of mid-corner hesitation, in the braking zone, and Lewis, unfortunately, they're going to send it into the Kitty litter and go back to the pit box to give it another go on a fresh set of tires.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually dropping an extra gear, which he might not have to do, and that's actually just killing his momentum and his speed, George. Just want to say welcome to everybody on the YouTube channel. JC Krobler's there, Jason Absmeyer, and Jason says your voice is sounding super crisp, George. Tell us about it, buddy.
Oh, absolutely. So, the good old people from Raceface actually heard about my mic issues and the roboting, and then George sounding like he was going through a tin can. So they sent me over a replacement to get myself back up and running. And
excellent.
I appreciate it. And of course, to all our viewers, hello. Good to have you all with us and in the chat. And Alan's an interactive streamer. It's something that I enjoy about him. So if you guys do have any questions out there, he'll always have his eye on the chat, and we'll be willing to answer whatever you throw our way as well. Well, to the best of our ability. I mean, there's a reason we're both commentators and not drivers.
Exactly. Yeah, let's see how it goes. All right, we're down to 1.5 minutes here, George.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. 1.5 minutes left to go. Jason Webb coming in as a little bit of a surprise entry here. I mean, I think that Bertus didn't tell me that Jason Webb was coming through. He knows I'm a bit of a fanboy. He knows I'm a bit of a drift lover. Having a real-life driver again coming in from the drift world into the competitive grip sim racing world is a bit of a interesting crossover, and I love it as we watch Vin Carla try and wrestle his number 88 Audi through the exit of his car, and he did well. I mean, he only lost a couple of tenths coming through. It did look like it could be more, and he's in 16th place, but half a second up on his lap time, could be some more, and Parabolica is definitely boding to be his friend so far.
Yep.
The entry through finds another 10th coming down. 16th place is where he sits before he gets up to the line. It will be interesting to see where he comes as he crosses over the line, and it will only be one place.
That's
Interestingly,
unreal,
half a
man.
second, one place.
One place.
And 2.1 seconds off the pace entirely. So the bottom of the grid tells a different story towards the top end. And of course, we also have drivers not able to set a qualifying lap, which don't really count as people at the back of the grid because they're out of position based on where their pace will be during the race session, right?
Yeah. Look, and being staggered further down the grid as well, that's also going to be it's going to come into effect as we're watching Rowe at the moment, also just trying to improve on his lap times. It's astounding, actually. You can do half a second quicker lap times and you only jump one position. It goes to show these guys are all pushing it really hard and trying really hard to get into the top 10, top 5, whatever segment they're aiming for.
For sure. And I mean, the fact that we've got some electricity issues in South Africa means that the grid isn't as full as it would be normally. So, the fact that there are 20 cars on the grid means that there are going to be people fighting for positions that they might not have been afforded previously. Also, it potentially then changes up the point standings as well. So a whole lot changes in a round like this where some of the grid has technical issues and can't join up. But, at the same time, the guys that have come out here are here to party and they just want to get as many points as they can. And
definitely.
Wet race, right, Alan? It's not made up in the first corners.
No.
It's it's going to take some time for them to settle in, and from there it's just going to be attack and defend, and we're going to then be able to see the driver stories unravel. Qualifying has completed, so the guys out on track at the minute will be able to set their final lap times. Jordan Sherritt not managing to get up towards the pole side of things where he's so used to sitting. And he's going to see the likes of Webb and King in front of him. And we can be sure that he's going to bring his party shoes to this one.
Yeah. I mean, that whole lap, he was literally on his Delta, on the bubble all the way around. He briefly flicked into the, there we go, into the green. But yeah, as you say, that's it. So, right, just under 2 minutes now to the start of the race. I've got to just get this into the right mode for us.
No problem. I can run us through the order as we stand. So Jason Webb going to be qualifying in pole position here today. He's going to lead off against the likes of Darren King in second place. Jordan Sherritt takes up third. Brian Lewis in fourth. Cody Sheridan fifth. Daniel Rowe in sixth. Paul Gaber in seventh. Eighth for Adrian de Beer. Ninth for Noah Hendricks. 10th for Johannes Greiling, rounding out the top 10. And then we've got Johan Bego Grabler in 11th, Franco Albertine in 12th, Ottens in 13th, Sienna Rain in 14th, Richard van Kalle in 15th, Francis Vogel in 16th, Arno van Mansberg in 17th, Kieran Patterson starting at the back of the grid in 18th place, Christos Besson in 19th, and Etienne Kleb in 20th. All three of those guys unable to set their qualifying times here, as they were not allowed to set quali times.
Yep.
But Patterson, Besson, and Kleb, though incredibly quick drivers, and you can be sure to see they will be making their way up the order. So, I mean, Alan, you said it. They get to sit back into what has often been a T1 chaotic situation. And that doesn't just mean, it's the people are just going to crash into each other. No, I just mean that there's chaos coming in because you have to be so cautious. You have to give the space through. And it doesn't just give everybody a chance to run away from the beginning. Positions can change up at the flick of a coin.
Definitely.
And 19 seconds to go before we go on our out lap. Everybody going to go out in single file. I couldn't be more excited. And once again, a big shout out to our sponsors, Black Ribbon Sim and Resource Complete, for partnering up with the likes of Raceface and making this all possible. And a big shout out and thanks to Alan Patterson for joining me today as my co-commentator and handling the stream side, the cameras. He's got the hard work today. And, he's helped out. I would have dropped electricity connections in the middle of it and would have been a complete disaster. So thanks a lot, Alan. You're
welcome, buddy. Glad I could help, and I'm sure things will go fine. I'm getting a lot more comfortable with the ACC interface, and it makes a change from running the regular AC coverage that I do on the other leagues. But this weather, these drivers, this track, what more can you ask for? We've got 20 people here. They're all looking to get points. It's going to be a heck of a race, George. That's all I can say.
Alan, you are so right. I mean, you just look down at the list of drivers. Of course, we're missing a couple of star studs from it as well. Of course, those drivers not able to join us. We send out our condolences because we miss all our drivers coming through and being able to make it onto the grid. But I mean, we're in for a treat. The drivers that have made it are going to make it exciting. The fact that it's raining, the fact that it's Monza, it's the pro tier. It's round 5. It's the penultimate round. They've only got this round and next round to secure their points in closing out the season before we go over to the next season. So, who we're going to crown as our champion, we have no idea just yet. And Jason Webb here leading things away as we go through the second chicane, making our way down towards the Lesmos. Of course, I always mention this, but these out laps are just not enough for these cars to get themselves up to the right tire temperatures or brake temperatures. So, it's a bit of a courtesy outlap. Keep everybody bunched up, but you really have to wait for a good couple of laps before the real racing can begin.
Exactly. Yeah. And I tell you what, this also does, and I don't know how you found it when you've driven in your racing, this gets my nerves into shreds, this lap, because it just builds you up for the whole start, and you know that there's a race coming, and you've passed the point of no return. So you've got to have all your ducks in a row here. You've got to be dragging your brake as much as possible. That'll help to warm up the brakes. Your tires are not going to be warm, and it's going to be George, T1, that first chicane coming up. I mean, if the guys did well with the GT4s, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to deal with it with the GT3. So let's hold thumbs and see what happens, and hopefully everybody gets through there.
We did have an absolutely incredible race in the GT4s last night in terms of getting through cleanly. I mean, the racing out on track was just really respectful from everyone and incident-free throughout the order. So as we start to make our way down the back stretch now, on our way down to the Parabolica, this is now where, Alan, you mentioned those nerves. Just to touch on that, I mean, I've learned to hold my breath through most of the circuits thanks to the formation lap. So it's anxiety 9,000. The drivers are all on edge, and at the same time now you've got to be making sure you're in the right place. You're not speeding. You're not jumping the line. And then it's all about where your braking points are, because you're going to have the spray coming up as well as the raindrops hitting your windscreen. Your wipers are going mad. It's absolute chaos, and that's why we sign up for it. An hour and 20 minutes
Here we go.
at Monza is about to get underway now for Raceface Season 3, Round 5. And, it's been great racing so far. Everybody's still in it to win it. And the front row of the grid, Jason Webb, Darren King, Jordan Sherritt, just in a pace of their own. So the front three really looking to see what they can do as they line up side by side. Now we're waiting for the green flag to indicate that racing is a go. And any moment now it will drop. Green lights are alive for our round at racing. And what a start coming out from Sherritt. Yeah, gets a great start, makes it 3 cars wide, coming down the start-finish straights. And he's going to force Jason Webb to defend his pole-sitting start from the get-go. Jordan going to go out wide and not try and contest up the inside. But Jason Webb has missed the braking point. He's going to have to rejoin the circuit. A big track cup coming down. A couple of cars having to dive out and go through. And Jordan Sherritt on the flashes now wants Jason to give those positions back. And doesn't seem to need to have to do so. And the contact coming out from Jordan and Jason Webb, absolutely not what we wanted to see. We're going to have to jump back and see, because Darren King, he's benefited from this. He's going to be able to ride on, ride out. And that is just an unfortunate circumstance coming out, Alan.
I'm just trying to see if this 10-second back will work. We're running custom liveries, and it kind of glitches the game a little bit. But unfortunately, we've missed that, George. So, we're going to just stick with the live stream and go with it at the moment. But Cody's come out, at least Darren King's come out benefiting completely from that. And we've got Jason Webb now down in 19th place. And who was that with Jason? 14th.
It was Jordan Sherritt. So
Jordan Sherritt, 14th.
He's down in 14th. So that contact coming out, the room not working out from either driver, and unfortunate circumstances coming down. I mean, the stewards have told the drivers that they're going to be looking at all incidents coming out on lap 1, and I'm sure that one is going to be handled. But like we mentioned, Darren King from Fordzilla, this is the start that he needed coming out, as would Cody Sherritt, who's now in 2nd place. Daniel Rowe then gets promoted up to 3rd. So the racing up towards the front of the order is still on. Looking at Brian Lewis trying to chase down the likes of Rowe. He's got him in his sights. He's in the slipstream as well. And it's all going to be down to how these guys are running these cars, how much downforce they're trying to play with, and how much top end they're going to be able to get on a big top end circuit like Monza. Onto the braking zone, Lewis not going to be able to look towards the likes of Rowe just yet, but you can sure as hell bet your hat that they will be fighting it out in the next couple of laps for sure. If Lewis can bring out that pace we saw in qualifying, right? Yes. That's his secret.
Definitely. Look, I'm currently just looking at the gaps to find, where the closest competition is at the moment. Everybody's pretty well spaced out after that drama that happened. So, although in saying that, we've got Adrian de Beer, and it's getting very busy back here for 7th, 8th, and 9th place. Adrian de Beer in 7th place here in the red Porsche, right behind Noor Hendricks, who's now moved from Ferrari into a Mercedes. And these guys are all close up and all trying to get the best possible positions, passing cars ahead of them and moving up to the top 10, top 5.
Absolutely. I mean, they've all got the ability to do so if they can. I mean, look at the likes of Kieran Patterson as well. I mean, no buyers coming out, Alan. Your son driving out here started at the back of the pack, and he's got himself up to 11th place. He's fighting now against Vin Collar in that Audi, now coming down into Ascari. Who gets the better exit? Who gets the drive? Kieran does seem to have got the drive and the exit out here, looking to go around the outside now down towards the parabolic. The Audi going to stay ultra defensive, have the inside line, the ideal line coming in. But the Patterson works Porsche, going to brake later, go around the outside, keep things side by side. But just look how that inside line works out. Patterson will have to tuck back in behind the number 88 Audi and try and use some of that slip again. But, you always like to see drivers trying to get some work done in interesting places. Around the outside of Parabolica, a brave and interesting place to do so. But look at the run coming down from that Porsche now into T1. Later on the brakes again. Will Patterson be able to get through? Yeah, has managed to get the move done, and Vincala going to allow Patterson to get his job on the road. I mean, Patterson out of place down towards the bottom of the order and fighting to make his way back through.
and doing quite well. I'm going to jump further up. There's something going on here. I think we've just had a disconnect. I've got a blank time running down the screen here. Maybe not. But Mr. Lewis, Brian Lewis, also very close up in 4th place behind Daniel Rowe. So Brian Lewis struggling with the Mercedes, but managing to hang on and stay on the tail end of Rowe's Porsche. And these guys are 1.3 seconds Paul Gerber behind in 5th place. So it's pretty spaced out. We got about a 2.5 to 1.5 second gap from 1st all the way down to 5th between each car. But a lot of racing still to come as we watch them go through.
It was, I mean, that exit for Ascari for Lewis was just what he wanted.
Exactly.
I mean, Rowe here is going to have that inside line. We saw what happened between Patterson and Vincala on the previous lap. This time around, it does look like the drive coming out from that Mercedes is going to be able to tuck back in front, get that inside apex for the exit of Parabolica 2, and the number 75 going to get the work done. Promotes himself up to 3rd place, onto the podium potentially. But I mean, an hour and 14 minutes of racing remain. We've also got the fact that we've got pit stops still to do. There's a mandatory stop to come. So anything could happen, but 3rd place provisionally for the number 75 Mercedes, and our most running Mercedes on the grid so far, ahead of Noah Hendricks. So things have completely changed around with Jason Webb now down in 15th place, trying to make his way back up. But look at Rowe. He's having a fight back out, and he's going to go round the outside of T3. I mean, this is a big sweeping corner, going to give him the inside line now to the braking point potentially. It's not ideal to try and take it. You can become a bit of a torpedo and a missile, and who's going to turn in later? And it will be a wise decision from Rowe to just settle back in to Lewis. Didn't have the drive to make it stick on the inside, and it's that on the head, shoulders racing that I love to see.
Yes.
Just knowing that you've got plenty of time for these moves to evolve, and you don't need to throw it all away. And Alan, what do we see lurking up there behind that number 51? Behind that number 4 of Rowe. Do you see it?
I don't.
It's the big Nissan Godzilla.
Oh, right. Yes, I beg your pardon.
It's a surprise entry on the grid because it's the only Nissan GTR at this point.
The Godzilla.
Yeah, you love to see it, and I think the Team Triad livery, we get to feature custom liveries with Raceface. It's really cool. I know a lot of leagues do it as well, but Mr. Paul Gerber looking all dashing in his Resource Complete sponsored Team Triad Racing GTR. And of course, that also lets us mention our sponsors, Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Sims. So, if you want to sponsor the stream, sponsor a car, get involved, just hit up Bertus or hit up one of the drivers. Just get involved. Get your sponsors onto cars. That's what we want to see, right?
That's it. It's all about exposure. The exposure indirectly helps to grow the sport and the hobby. And the cars look fantastic with the decent, with the proper liveries. Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Simulations on board for tonight's race. It's going to benefit everybody in the long run. So thanks to them for the support.
I mean, I know that the winner of the GT3 league, coming up towards the end, I think that was Jordan Sherritt going around the outside down the back end there. I think himself and Patterson are trying to now make their way back through the order down in 9th and 10th place. They're going to make their way past Albertine. It's now going to be Patterson's chance to shine out, and it is going to be once again Porsche versus Audi battle out on track. And this is what we like to see, that close racing, keeping things nice and respectful. And, if there wasn't raindrops just shooting across on the cameraman's point of view, these drivers wouldn't indicate that this was a wet weather race. It's just, they pushing it to the limits, and you just love to see it.
Exactly. I wanted to actually you said it first. You hit the nail on the head. Considering that the weather says 2 rows of raindrops on the weather icon, the track is wet. Okay, it's not flooded, but it's not dry either. And these guys, we've seen very little loss of control or dramas. The guys are actually lapping really well and behaving very well, and the car control is incredible.
That's exactly it, is the fact that these guys are just throwing it out. And on the outside now, the exit, once again, it's Ascari that determines how you're going to get that run down, and really just with the pace to do so. Patterson now going to be able to move on into 9th place and get well within the top 10. That's where he wants to keep on going, straighting into it, get up towards the top 5. A little bit of kickback from the Porsche on the exit, but not going to be enough to unsettle the car. Johannes Kreiling, he's just been passed out by Jordan Sherritt.
Sorry, I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah, Sherritt just getting on by, and, you know, we expected to see things like this. You know, Sherritt having that T1 or the lap 1 incident where he was sent down the order means that he's now going to be making his way through the likes of other cars, and right now caught up behind the likes of Hendricks, who's just screaming in that AMG, and you just see the exit for it on the exit of the chicane, on the exit of the exit of the chicane. You know, it's just the rear wheels trying to overtake the front wheels.
Exactly.
Sherritt now going to put himself onto the inside, going to brake later through Hendricks, not going to see that coming through, and nice late braking coming out from Sherritt in that Porsche, showing that car control as he does so. And you know, every move that you make then backs a car up behind you a little bit, and that's going to allow the likes of Kreiling and Patterson to get onto the back end of Hendricks. Hendricks, of course, struggling a little bit for grip 2, not going to be working in his favor in trying to hold off the beast behind him.
Yeah, look, Jordan's is obviously rolling now from his first lap incident with Webb. He managed to get on the track and get going a lot quicker, so we saw him at 14th, where we saw Webb down at 19th or last place, and Webb's currently in 14th, and Jordan already up into 6th, almost in the top 5 and going north. So his recovery drive's been a lot faster and a lot more proficient.
You know, it really has. He's just seemed to have sliced through the cars. I mean, we're only just going to be coming on to the end of lap 5, I believe, here, as Darren King going to go on to his 6th lap. So, I mean, this is our 6th lap coming down.
Correct.
I mean, for Jordan to have gone from all the way down there up to 6th place, I mean, that is an incredible recovery drive. We didn't get to see it all on camera, but definitely unfolded pretty quickly here. And, you know, the likes of Haber, Rowe, Lewis, they're now going to start to notice that, you know, Sherritt's now coming up, and Cody up at the front in second has to also start to fear for things, because gaps don't exist for these men. And, the braking coming out there, and Hendricks going to have to miss and avoid. Has not done a good job of keeping the racetrack clean and tidy, and he's gonna spray bollards all over the place. Yeah,
he's gonna have to hand that back, because he went through that chicane. He was behind Kieran Patterson, who's now just gone past Kreiling in the BMW. So yeah. Further back, Jason Webb now currently in 14th, and busy all on his own, slicing through his own traffic, right behind Etienne Kleb here in the Aston Martin. I don't know how much damage would have happened to Jason in that first lap incident, and how much he's carrying with him, if it's affecting his speed as much as it isn't, by the looks of things, affecting Jordan Sherritt.
You know, it's exactly that. And I think that ACC can just be a little bit finicky in the way that the damage model is handled. You know, a light damage to the front or rear aero side can, you know, go quite a long way, depending on how it feels like handling it. So, I mean, by the looks of things, as an external spectator, Webby's little AMG doesn't look too bunged up by anything. I mean, doesn't have any of the active aero that we normally see flapping on the front end of a bonnet when you've hit a wall. But, you know, at the same time, it might not just be handling the way that it handled when he first got it out the box. And there's then just going to be that slight adjustment phase, but certainly not struggling to keep the car competitive, as, you know, Kleb will definitely testify to at the moment, as coming down the start-finish straight, a rear view mirror full of black AMG. Going to pull out for the inside line, going to force Kleb to stay out wide, and it's just a flat-out drag race at that point. Who goes later on the brakes? And it will be Jason Webb in that number 45, a little bit too deep almost, as Kleb tries to have a little look back, but does look like he's going to secure it and continue that recovery drive, as we've mentioned. Now start to look towards the likes of that number 88 from Van Kuller.
If I didn't know any better, I would have said that Webb had gone into the pits and repaired the car. It looks too clean. Considering he had a turnaround, he must have missed every barrier on that section of track. He didn't hit anybody and nobody hit him. But the timing system doesn't say he's pitted, so he couldn't have.
No, I don't think he would have been able to go into the pits and come out where he is at the moment either, right? So I think he must still be out on the same lap. I mean, all the way down to the likes of Bassan. It only looks like Ottens has actually gone into the pits being a lap behind at this stage. So looks like everybody else staying out and, you know, keeping the cars mostly clean. We've only seen that one real incident that spun them round, and from there it's just been all about the recovery. It's opened things up towards the front of the order entirely, though, for the likes of Darren King, because you know, he needed the likes of Sherritt and Webb to be up there and battling him in terms of where they qualified. So Cody Sherritt not on the pace to be able to take it there. I mean, the last lap coming out from King was 4/10 quicker than what Cody's doing at the moment, and best laps overall, almost a second difference between our leader and second place.
Yeah, we'll have a look at them now. Just saw a close timing delta between Johan Baker-Krobler here, down in 17th in the McLaren, chasing Sooner Rain, but everything seems pretty static. So yeah, Darren King driving away pretty much. It's a 6.5 second gap at the moment. If we look at his basic HUD, his best lap at a 1:53.6, and Cody at a 1:54.4. So phew, that's a big gap when you consider this is first and second place.
Yeah, I mean that's where he needed Jordan Sherritt there. He needed Jason Webb, the guys that were within a couple hundredths of each other in qualifying, needed to be up towards and fighting for it. So right now it's just a bit of a free platter coming out for King, a bit of a free platter coming out from Cody, for Cody, because he was never meant to be fighting up for second place, and because the other drivers were not quite far down the order, it meant that everybody that benefited was someone that qualified behind him. So everybody driving now is just sort of slotting into a pace point, other than the likes of our guys that started towards the back of the order. I mean, we see the Christos Basson. He started down towards 19th. I think it was in 19th. He hasn't been able to make up positions at all, but the likes of Kleb up to 14th place, he started right at the back, and Patterson up to 8th from the back, and then of course Jordan, who didn't start at the back but was pretty much sent towards the back in the middle of the opening lap, and he's now made his way up to 6th place. So it's all those recovery drives coming out in the rain that are most impressive at this stage to me.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just having a look at the important guys just to see what their best laps are. And as you say, Jason Webb, 1:55, when the guys up at the front end of the race are doing 1:54s, Cody, etc. Brian Lewis in his Mercedes, a 1:54.4, and his last lap a 1:54.6. So Brian's pushing hard to try and catch Cody Sherritt. And it's not a nice way to say this, but these guys have essentially inherited a couple of positions due to the Jordan and the Webb incident, but they're there and they're doing their best to stay there and running good pace. And if I didn't know any better, I'd say Lewis is actually closing the gap down to Sherritt quite substantially here. His delta's up by half a second. He seems to be a lot more stable on the track than Cody at the moment.
I think it's a good highlighting point indeed. So like we saw Lewis doing in quali, struggling out towards the end of Parabolic was really his only struggling point. We see Cody getting very loose on the exit out of the Ascari and rejoining on the surface. So those are all the telltale signs that potentially, if we are looking for something to be action-packed on track, it's going to be out here. So Cody definitely down on where he wants to be at the moment if he's going to hold on to things, because Lewis is catching, Lewis is closing down. And if they continue to make the same laps that we've just seen, lap after lap, it is going to be that battle out. And here's Jordan Sherritt, Cody's brother, trying to get himself back towards the front of the order. The 6-3 4 Porsche going to be chasing down the number 51 of Gabber. The team Try Hard GTR going to try and defend, not going to defend the position, going to just realize that, this is a fight not for this day, and coming into Scari just leaves it nice and wide. Sherritt knew where he needed to go, and an easy overtake and a promotion up a position for Sherritt into 5th place.
Yeah, that was considering how far back Sherritt came in that Porsche to go past the Godzilla-ness, and he's very confident in his car's braking and his track knowledge, and even in these conditions, he's he's pedaling. I mean, he's up to 5th from 14th from turn on lap 1. So right here we're watching Krayling, Hendricks, Patterson, Vogel. These guys are all closing up on each other. I don't know if Johannes Krayling's actually slowing them down. When we watched Jordan go past Cabber just now out of first chicane, in the background I was watching the braking, and Hendricks was literally next to Krayling as they came into the braking zone for turn 1. So these guys are all having a huge race all on their own, and you put 1 foot wrong and get a little bit of a tank slap or a bad exit, you're going to hemorrhage 2 or 3 seconds, and that's a position or 2 at this rate.
No, for sure, and that's where it does become all about just making sure you find that consistent rhythm, because a quick lap once or twice every 5 laps isn't going to be enough to cut it, to hold it off against drivers that are finding some consistency out there. And,
exactly.
Grayling there going to feel some pressure, but it will be Hendricks first to have to deal with the attack coming out from Kieran Patterson. The number 1, 2, 3 chasing down, and of course we've seen that Kieran has the ability to get right up behind a driver, get him into a panicky position, make him feel his presence, and Hendricks here, if he does want to hold on, he's gonna have to hold on for dear life, because the ride of his life will come through. Oh, look at that coming through. We'll see one of the Team Try Porsches missing out the braking points and gonna be able to escape down what isn't the escape road, but a little bit of space coming through, and it will be Vogel from Team Try Hard, and he's going to be under attack from the man trying to make his way back through, which is Webb, and then of course trying to find those positions onto Albertine, which he's lost out earlier on, and a little touch maybe coming in. I didn't quite see it, and it is going to allow a straight out drag race down to Lesbos. Squiggly goes Vogel, and he manages to hold on somehow, some way. The number 5, when it becomes a tank slapper like that in the rear engine Porsche, you touch the dashboard and you say thank you.
Yeah, you know all about it. Yeah, look, I don't know if there was a full-on touch. It might have been a very subtle little touch, but Vogel did well from turn 1 to actually give the position back to Albertine, I think it was, but in the process slowed himself down, and Webb capitalized on that and has gone past with ease. And Vogel is certainly swinging the backside of that Porsche around these corners. But yeah, I think he's all okay now, and he's taking some breaths, and everything's back to normal. But Webb marching forward as we see him getting up to the back of Franco Albertine now.
He's getting on there, but
Kieran
has made a little bit of an error coming out there, and he's seems to have recovered back out, but that's all the speed and everything thrown out down towards the start-finish straight. So don't expect T1 here to be uninteresting coming out down the back. Webb might be able to get himself around the likes of Patterson, and he will, coming into the braking zone, Patterson will be able to defend off against the Team Try Hard Porsche Vogel, but a little mistake coming out, and that's going to cost them in trying to chase down the likes of Franco Albertine here, and Albertine doing a good job to kind of keep the chaos behind him over the last couple of laps. I mean, it felt like there were drivers approaching, and they've all not been able to get there, and he's just had the drive through. But Webb now leads the charge. Patterson slots it in nice and behind. So, these two drivers pretty much pace-wise on track. in the same sort of ballpark. So if they can work together to make their way through the traffic and through the pack, they could also find themselves in a good position. They just can't get into a position where they're fighting each other for position, because that's not going to benefit either of them.
No, but listen, Kieran was in 8th place just now, so he dropped 3 positions from probably a spin or a whatever that he had at Parabolica.
A little slapper.
Exactly.
Slapper.
So,
and that's the slapper for Webb, and he catches the drift. I mean, if anyone's going to catch a slide, it will be Webb, but that's not going to be doing your tires any good.
No.
And at this stage of the race, I mean, your pit stops are still genuinely looking quite far away. I mean, Vega Krabler's jumped into the pits to serve his already, which has put him down the order a fair amount of time. But I mean, you're trying to extend as much of the lifetime out of these tires as you can, and when it's getting loose like that, it's not helping the cause.
Just saying hello on YouTube. Leslie Olifants there. Good evening to you, sir. Johan van der Merwe. Hello, Johan. QC and Yuri Epsmeyer. So a couple more people joining us to watch the race. I enjoy having open debates, and we ask questions and answers, and there Kieran has another moment through that little chicane. So he's struggling a bit. He needs to just settle down, and he'll be okay. Looking forward at Jordan Sherritt, however. He's got Daniel Rowe right in his sights. He's closed that down to under a second. They're now currently about half a second apart. Jordan Sherritt just getting the perfect lines through these corners, nailing his apexes, not overdriving the car. Smooth is quick, as we all know. This is not a normal overtaking position, and he's just going to throw it down the inside. Rowe's not going to argue with that, and Jordan takes 4th place.
It really does feel like drivers out here are being caught out maybe by where Jordan is finding himself in those positions, because he really has just made it look like a breeze to come through, and perhaps drivers are just not taking a fight with someone that they know is well out of their pace group. I mean, it's just going to cost you a lot of time, but yeah, an unfortunate situation coming out, and our grid order still, I want to mention it, is unfortunately a little bit underwhelming in terms of the sheer size we normally see with the Raceface League, and that's all because our drivers can't all be here. But making your way through the positions, finding yourselves points, it is going to change up the way that the leaderboard stands. So it has its benefits to some, mostly negatives for a lot of people, and we just extend our condolences over to those people that are affected and can't join up with the racing and that kind of thing, because it does suck for the championship, right? Not being able to compete because you just don't have the you have a technical failure or something like that. But looking back towards Noah Hendricks, he seems to have definitely keeping Krayling a little bit in the line of sight, so potentially maybe another manufacturer battle out between the BMW and the Mercedes for us to admire and see who's who in the zoo, who really functions better through the zones. And Hendricks very lucky coming into that first corner. It looked like the whole car got unsettled, but he managed to hold on to it.
It did. I'm just really pleased to see a couple more BMWs out on the track. All right, tonight it's Krayling in a big BM. I'm a fan of the car ever since I saw them at the Kyle Army 9 Hour, but it's been known to be a very there's a moment happening there in the background. It's always been known, similar to the Bentley being this nicknamed the Boatley, as everyone calls it, and a big sluggish car. But if you've got the right setup in the car, you can drive it and drive it quickly. And Krayling's not doing too bad considering the company is in here tonight, and a solid 7th place at the moment. But Nur Hendricks in the Mercedes is certainly showing his intent, and I think Krayling's feeling the pressure, to be honest.
I mean, both teams here have a lot to really prove in where they stand. I mean, Retro Sim versus Amp to Play. If you guys followed along with the racing, you'd know that we had some battles out on track between the two teams in the last week. And, you know, for now, it's, you know, all about who can finish ahead. You know, once you have a scrap going out, it never ends. It always continues. So for now, it's interesting to see that Krayling leads away here. And Hendricks, a driver that can bring the fights when he gets into that right zone. And I think we see him get unsettled from time to time, but it will be Patterson to get past Webb here, which is important. Wait, did he? He did just get past him, right? Yeah, he did just get past him because Webb was behind, but Webb's still looking to fight back down now into Teleraggio. While they're going to go side by side, they're not. Very late on the brakes from Webb. Manages to slow the Mercedes down and still will stay tucked in. This is the kind of racing that I want to see, and this is the racing that I like to see, is that close car GT3 racing. Tin Tops is all about being able to, you know, really throw it out and really get nice and close together. And big drift coming out from Webb. And once again, he manages to save it out. I don't know if you guys can hear, but I'm a bit of a drift fan. When they go sideways, I'm like, I make the sounds of the whole menagerie of owls.
Oh, no, you don't say, George. I'd never have known that, buddy. Yeah, listen, there must have been a changeover somewhere because Webb was ahead and there he throws it again and catches it again and bumps over the... Yeah, Webb's having fun, let's just put it that way.
I mean, fun for some, but probably for him in the car a little bit frustrating because in ACC there's no rewards, there's no cheers for the wooing. It's just generally disappointment as you watch your Delta time fall down the drain. And it's one of those things where you just know you've lost it out, your drive's gone, your top end's not going to be there, and anyone near to you is entering into
exactly
an extra gear, and you're
coming
just sitting
past,
back thinking about like how cool you look drifting, but it wasn't quite fast, right?
Love it, George. That's such a sad story, but it's awesome.
Because I can relate to it.
Yeah, totally.
I've been there, I've been down there, and I know exactly how that feels. So Kleb, he's going to be putting some pressure on to the back of the team trial at Porsche of Vogel, and it looked like a lot more coming in to the entry of the first chicane.
Our leader's in the pits, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, he has gone. Has he gone into the pits?
Well, it's got a green box next to his name, so he's got to be.
He has gone in indeed. So he's taken his mandatory stop. He's come out, and he will be out on track in 14th place. So, of course, that will change up. Everybody going to peel away. And, you know, what's always interesting is the super early undercut, and it never comes from a leader, ever. It's always come out late from like a mid-pack driver. I've never seen a leader with a big lead go and take an early pit stop. So I'm actually keen to see what happens because the mid-pack drivers taking early stops have always benefited.
Exactly.
When they come back out. So I'm keen to see where it is. And it looks like he's come out in some good, clean traffic. That's going to be important out there. But the battle on track that we were tracking along with earlier is back with the form of Kleb and Vogel. And once again, that Aston Martin from Kleb, the number 78, getting a little bit closer on to the back of the number 5 from Vogel. We'll have those lovely slipstreams to work with here at Monza, but at the same time, it's a bit of a gamble. You're taking up the slipstream advantage, but then you're picking up all the dirty air, the spray, Kieran is doing donuts on the outside again, and Alan, I mean, I'm gonna let you say what you wanted to say because I could feel it inside.
Oh man, it's the frustration levels for me because I want him to do well, and he can capably do well. We've got a lot of equipment. We're busy sorting out some CSP pedals and a good stand so you can. Oh look there, we've just had a spinner. Vogel's just turned the Porsche around.
Yes, we've caught them all out in the act on the same little bit of the track.
Right,
well, not
there.
The same bit of track, but the same camera track. And you know, that's what Monza is. It is an absolute knife blade. It can be going so well, you'll be cruising, you're loving life, and then one little curb, one little sad moment, and it all changes up. So Rowe into the pits,
and
going to be
Jason
serving up his mandatory stop. And yeah, that's right, Webb also going to be jumping in and maybe not liking the drift style of those tires. Maybe going to be throwing on some extra rubbers out here for the remainder of the stint. I think there is a mandatory tire change. I always get this wrong, and then I make a note to check it, which I don't check. But I think they have to change. I think they have to do a tire change out here. So
I think something has to be done. You've got to either do a body repair or a refuel or a tire change, or all three, as part of a compulsory pit stop. But yeah.
So for them, this one, yeah. I mean, I'll make a note, George. Check the mandatory stop requirement. Maybe for the final, I'll actually know the rules, and we'll be able to tell you. And Patterson not having the best of exits out there of the Ascari again. And you know what? Once it goes wrong, right? It comes in threes. That's what they always. Oh, my mom always said that bad luck comes in threes.
In threes.
In sim racing, I times it by 4. So it actually just never stops. So you have to really focus to then get your head back in the game.
No, you do. He struggles with that. Sorry. So just to answer you earlier, when it does go wrong, he gets frustrated with himself, and he's also frustrated because the car's turning around. But indirectly, he's making the mistakes, and he's just got to settle down. Put it out, get it out the way, get it out of his mind, and just focus on the race. There's still 44 minutes. He's in the middle of the field, and he's in the pits now, so he's getting his pit stop done.
Maybe not a bad time to pull in.
Agreed.
Have a bit of a think. Let the pit stop sort of serve its way, and you can come back out. New car, new me is what I always say.
Yeah.
And the pit stop goes a long way. I mean, Sherritt, we saw him in the incident earlier. We questioned whether there was some damage on the car. I mean, that Raceface Speed Labs GTWR Esports livery is most certainly scuffed up. Looks like a pair of my grade 7 school shoes.
Definitely, he's had a few rounds with some people. We know from lap 1. So the car is showing its wear and tear, but he's in first place, and he was in 14th place about 15 laps ago. So it just goes to show.
So now this is now where I'm interested to see what happens. Does Jordan now stay out in first, try and put up as much time as he can to King, who's now in 8th place, having served that pit stop?
Yes.
And does he try and really push it to the end? I mean, I don't think he can really gamble with, okay, I'm going to go into the pits now, because King's already served that pit stop. So if he wanted to do the undercut earlier on, he would have had to serve it out and done that. So King's kind of taken that away from Jordan here, and Jordan going to have to really dig deep. And you've seen guys struggling with those setups and struggling with the cars in these conditions. So at this point in time, Alan, I mean, I like to see someone taking a bit of a risk, and to me, this is Jordan taking that risk to see, like, where will this take me after this? Yeah,
where's it gonna, what's gonna be the end result? He's obviously his plan A went out the window on lap 1 with Webb, so he's got to look at plan B or plan C and see what are the better options that he can take going forward from here. On the YouTube channel, good evening to Giam Mouton, Impressive Racing. Thanks for joining us on the YouTube channel, sir. George, just having a look, this might actually tell us a little bit of the answers that we're looking for. If we have a look right now where Sherritt is, coming down to Parabolica, and we can see where Webb is, who's in 14th place, car 45. Where is he?
I mean, I'm trying to...
there he is, over the start-finish line. He's just coming to turn 1.
Okay, I got you. There he is, down into turn 1. So,
and Jordan's in the pits.
I mean, that's what we are saying. Is he going to extend it? Is he not? So the answer comes out before we need to really theorize too much. And I don't think either option is bad, right? Because the option for Sherritt to come into the pits now, come back out, and then take that same sort of pace that he had initially in the first stint would still be there. If he waited later, potentially, then you're extending on tires that could ruin your race if you make a complete mess of it. So to just answer QQ in the YouTube chat as well, where are the penalties? You know, there's no live streaming for this, so everything is handed out post-race, and the penalties for Raceface have all been re-looked at, I would like to say. They've got a whole bunch of new stewarding principles, and we've seen them really take effect from last week. I mean, it's not allowing people to do too much. So Sherritt going to serve his pit stop. He's going to be able to come out of the pits potentially not as far down the order as I would have thought he would have to come out. And, you know, we saw him go in sort of relatively 5th place, I think it was, and he will come out again in 6th or in 10th. So he's down the order behind guys that still have to serve their pits.
Exactly.
So it's that situation where the cookie's going to crumble in different ways, and we're trying to find all the pieces. And at best, we call the race for the positions that they are on track at this time.
Yeah.
And if we can remember relative to where they were in the pits, it's always a bit of insight. But, I mean, we do know that King is our first running pit leader, and out in 6th place at the moment. He had a big gap ahead of the likes of Cody Sherritt. So we're trying to just follow along with what has happened to Cody Sherritt in all of this, by the way. He's down in 15th.
He's down in 15th.
He served his stop, but I mean, he's behind the likes of Webb, who served his stop as well. And I mean, Cody was 2nd place behind the likes of King.
Agreed.
For such a long portion of the race. Something
did happen.
Yeah, because Lewis has been promoted then to 2nd place in terms of position after serving the pit stop. So
he has. Look, I'm just trying to.
In the works.
Yeah, King now going through Parabolica onto start-finish straight. So he is the net leader, as we see Kraling in the pits as well now. So 2nd place was Cody Sherritt just now. He's now down in 14th place, the best part of 30 seconds back. So he, besides his pit stop, he's had a moment somewhere. He's had a huge moment. And Mr. Lewis has essentially inherited 2nd place as he comes through Parabolica onto the start-finish straight. So he's not that far behind Darren King, and this is 1st and 2nd place at the moment, with Jordan essentially then in 3rd place. So where's Jordan right now? There goes Jordan, and there in the distance you can see Lewis. So Jordan's within 2-3 seconds of Lewis. So this is closing up now into a tight race here, George.
That's the drive that we did sort of expect coming out from Jordan. We thought it would be more towards the front of things. I mean, when we are being realistic in the way that we've seen things going over the last couple of weeks, I mean, Sherritt really has just found another level indeed. I mean, for a long time in the leagues that I was involved in, it was Zahir Essa as the man that sort of just dominated away with times. But Jordan Sherritt really coming in and refreshing that sort of scene. And, you know, it's not just here, it's internationally, it's on leaderboard, it's in the Lamborghini Esports Challenge, it's in things that are important to getting South African sim racing out there. And yeah, you know, Sherritt does have a lot of those abilities, and it will be interesting to see what he manages to pull out of here, because from where he was, it didn't seem like he would be up towards maybe fighting for a 2nd place position on the podium again.
Yeah, look, I don't know of his other leagues and races that he races in, but he's clearly a very talented driver, and that moment, although was a little bit of it was like really, what just happened? You know, we did see it happen, and I wasn't exactly too sure until we go and look at the replay what did actually happen. But somebody drifted across, and there was contact made, and they turned around.
It was a case of drivers not giving each other space.
Okay.
Right? I mean, it seemed like you said, it's something we have to go back and look at. You know, did Jordan crowd into Jason Webb? Did Jason Webb give Jordan Sherritt enough space? Did they give each other enough space? Either way, it was sad that we saw it, because that should have been our scrap up at the front, and we wanted to see Darren King having to fight against the South Africans through, and now our international guest is leading our South African race, and it's okay as well. I like having internationals out.
True. Yep.
But you know, it wasn't the battle that we really should have all been gifted as viewers. it's more of a recovery. You know, we're going like retrospective, looking back through the order, as
true.
opposed to where we wanted to see it up at the front.
And
but,
not
Kleb,
being a fairy dust. Yeah, got you.
Kleb serving his pit stop. I believe that will be Cody Sherritt to get on a bye after. Is it Cody Sherritt? I mean, I might be completely wrong with that. I think it's Cody Sherritt. It is Cody Sherritt.
It is Cody Sherritt.
So, Cody Sherritt and Kleb then, I mean, going to be exchanging positions as Kleb serving that pit stop. That's where those pit stops are so important. I mean, up until everybody's pitted, the whole order gets changed up. And in a couple of minutes, I mean, we still got 25 minutes left of the window to come through. The only people who have not pitted would be the likes of Hendricks and Cianeren. So everybody else has done their mandatory. And Hendricks wanting some screen time out at the front, at the top of the order. He's maybe going to be the driver that's going to try for that severe, long drive going very late into the pits.
Yep.
He's seen everybody else has gone into it. So, what do you have to really lose from it? And to be honest, Alan, there's normally quite a lot, right? So, like, in your mind when you're driving, you're thinking, do I try this? Do I risk it to do this? And 9 times out of 10, you go back to the thing that you know, because the risk of what could go wrong is there.
Yeah. Your comfort is in what you know, and what you know is your plan A, and that is what you had set up at the start of the race. Now you're starting to experiment, and you're still trying to drive the car, and you're also trying to think about, well, maybe I should run a plan B or a plan C. Let's run late and then fill it and brim the tank, and we'll come out in 7th and we'll still be good. You can't do that. You've got to actually be very focused on and confident on your setup and what you want to do with the car.
Absolutely have to be confident. I mean, this is the machine that for an hour and 20 minutes you're putting your complete trust into in doing what your inputs are coming through, and you've put the time and effort in to make sure that you can dial it to where you want it to be. So, I mean, down the order in terms of battles, Brian Lewis here as our number 4th place on the overall timings, has been into the pits, so this could change up. He will be 2nd place once Cianeren and Hendricks jump into the pits. And then it's the likes of Sherritt to catch up to Lewis. And if I look at their last lap times, I mean, Sherritt is down at the pace, 5 seconds off. But in terms of track position, he's on his last lap was 2/10 quicker than Brian Lewis. So 154.486 coming out from Lewis, 154.2 coming out from Sherritt. But best lap time so far in the circuit, a 153.9 coming out from Lewis, and a 154.087 for Jordan Sherritt. So
very close.
It's very close. It's a couple hundredths off between their best times, and it's a 10th on their previous lap. But Sherritt, up another 10th on what he did before, and he is going to go and do a lap time that is again eating into that gap that Lewis has. So it's not a lot, but it's a little, and it's honest work out on track with 32 minutes to go. It's what you want, just a little bit of edging coming down, and make sure that gap becomes into fightable positions before the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, so we're at 32 minutes right now. That gap sitting static at 5.3 seconds. We'll watch that as Noor Hendricks now goes into the pits. So he's going to tumble down, probably come out somewhere around 8th or 9th, 10th. King back into the lead. So Lewis, net second, and Jordan there, as you can see, now down to 4.9 seconds. So he is managing to do quicker lap times, and is, if he does what he's doing. And did I see? Yeah, so we got traffic here as well. This is also affecting Lewis. So Sherritt is going to close this gap. Yeah.
The more time that Lewis gets held up by that kind of stuff, the more that pink Porsche is going to hunt down. I don't know if it's pink or purple, but it's most certainly more on the pink side of purple.
Agreed.
And I don't hate it, So I'll just throw that out there. Don't hate the pink and purple. But it is most certainly catching up, and will eventually get past the back marker.
Well,
and Lewis will be happy about that, because for him that was going to be a little bit difficult. And for Mansberg, in the I believe that's actually, for Mansberg actually has one of the newer Team Try Hard liveries, their custom liveries. So, this is the Resource Complete car, I think.
Yes.
It's not the Team Try Hard. It's straight up Resource Complete.
Correct.
And I mean, we like to see the custom liveries. When we spot them on camera, it's always good to see. And also, it lets us talk about our cheeky sponsor, which is Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Sim. So thanks to those guys for partnering up. And of course, our drivers here are going to be walking away with a set of Sparko Sim Racing gloves for just winning out the championship too. So that was a little bit of a late entry coming in from Black Ribbon Sim.
Awesome.
But certainly something cool to win. And these guys are going to be the ones that want to try on those cheeky new gloves. King, though, what a great drive coming out from him. He really has, up at the front of the order.
He has.
Just done what he needed to do. We saw him. He lost his two biggest antagonists in the race on, before they even got into the De La Roger chicane. He got through. Cody Sherritt couldn't really hold a candle to the wind in terms of the pace that King held out, and really needed Jordan to be up there and fighting. And King then has had to just have a bit of a lonely race. So it's one thing to race a race and chase down positions. It's an entirely different one to just lead it from the start and stay in the front till the very end. So, people mustn't discredit the fact that King's just had an easy and fun race up at the front, because he's had to work for it and keep working for it.
He does.
It's not an easy feat. So.
No, exactly. And I was just having a little chuckle to myself looking at his team name in the corner there, Fordzilla. You've got to love that. He's in a Ferrari at Monza. I mean, the Tifosi, everyone's going to be going berserk for this, but it's been a flag to flag, but it's been not a lesson per se, but he's had to fight the car, he's had to fight the weather, the conditions, a whole lot of things, and considering who he's on the track with and how far ahead he is, the man's he's incredibly talented, and he deserves the win if he does take the win, which with 28 minutes to go, you never know, anything could happen, but it's looking like he's going to, for sure.
I mean, the Misano round that I didn't get to broadcast, I was quite sick at the time, and I had to skip on it. So I believe that race was the one that we really wanted to get to see. King and Sherritt threw it out, and then after that we went through to Kyalami last week, and unfortunately King was involved in that mid-pack early accident at the very start, so he didn't really have the ability to have a drive out towards the front or potential race win. This time round has managed to get that good juju in his side, and will be able to, it's all in his control, right? If he makes the mistake, it's his race to lose.
Exactly.
And the likes of Lewis and Sherritt will be there to try and capitalize.
Sherritt.
Big rally. He's, what has happened there to Sherritt? And
he's had a hardware failure, yeah, for sure.
That looked like a hardware failure on the exit coming out of Lesmo.
I mean, he was rally crossing.
He was off track for at least 10-15 seconds, it felt like, after Lesmo 2. And seems to be holding it back again, but increasing the scuff marks on board now on the exit of Ascari, and we'll be able to kind of sort of gauge what's going on. Doesn't look like the car's tracking too badly in a straight line.
No.
But that's not always the indicator. Onto the brakes and the stability on the accelerator, all things that you want to look for. The turn in looking okay, not too much fighting with the wheel. You do see it on the mid-corner side of things. Gonna have to just fight with the back side of the Porsche. Not sort of out of character, but definitely has picked up some damage for sure. And Alan, that might cost him the
definitely.
He needed a working car here to take the fight to Brian Lewis. I tell you, that man is on track and flying, and don't underestimate the pace that's coming out. A couple of tenths that separated them out, or a couple of hundreds really are going to be all to the fight for. And Sherritt, definitely not going to be in a happy situation.
No, but that wasn't a driving issue. I mean, he came out of Lesmo 2 and he stayed out there, and he eventually got back onto the track and then went right across the track to the inside barriers. So that's almost like the steering's disconnected and he's trying to reconnect the steering, or the force feedback drop. That was a hardware failure. That's not a driver issue. But yeah, look, he's hurt himself as far as where he was behind Lewis. That gap was at 4 seconds. It's gone out to almost 10 seconds, 9.5 seconds now. So as we see, Bega, I think it's Bega Grobler.
Is everybody just adapted for the Monza El Rallycross Thursday evening session at a Lesmo too? I mean,
in a GT3 car.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanna go wild, throw it out on the grass at the exit of Lesmo. If you want to go extreme wild, do it in the wet and share it again wide here out of Ascari. So 25 minutes to go. Not a position that you want to really be in fighting your car. You want to find some stability, but with the talent that comes along with those lap times that we've seen. There's something that he knows about driving that I just certainly don't. So when it comes down from a commentator's perspective, I mean, he makes it look like the cars were wild on track. He still holds on to third place so far.
Yeah.
And he still leads over the likes of Gabo, who hasn't really got the same pace, even with a damaged car. I say that. It's only 900ths of a second off between their last laps between Gabo and Sherritt.
Yeah.
So if it does go wrong, I mean, that was with a bit of El Rallycross coming out as well. So you've got to factor all of those into the last lap times that we look at. But towards the front of the order, I mean, will Lewis be able to catch up to King? 22 seconds. It's a massive gap in 24 minutes. And I mean, you have to be lapping a second a lap quicker to be able to even contest that at this stage. So Lewis, a great drive coming out, but can he find what he needs to do? His best lap of 153.907, as we see at the top left of the screen, and that means that the 153.6 coming out from King as his fastest lap isn't quite unattainable coming out, but it all comes down to lap after lap. And Lewis is still currently lapping a 10th behind this man, Darren King from Fordzilla, in the number 138 Ferrari. And Ferrari, for once, featured up towards the front in some motorsport that I've been able to watch recently. And, the Monza fans and the Italian fans here in the virtual crowd would be screaming. I mean, I don't know if you caught it, Alan, but I saw that there was some American baseball that was on, and because you don't have, crowds and things, because of the COVID restrictions,
the teddy bear.
The Americans, they had cardboard cutouts in real life. Behind and like cheering crowds. I mean, it was wild. It was like watching a video game.
Yeah, I saw that
for a live broadcast.
I actually saw, just talking about that, somewhere they put some big stuffed animals that were being donated to charities, and there was a foul ball of one of the baseball strikes, and it hit the teddy on the head. It was actually quite funny, but it was a full-blown, like almost life-size teddy bear. But
yes, like I got you.
Yeah.
So it's those little funny things about the COVID restrictions in broadcasting. I feel like I pay extra attention to broadcasts now as well. There's very little to do as things start to open up. But Patterson still holding on to a top 10, albeit a well fought for top 10, mostly fighting with the car. It feels like.
Yeah.
Not too much had gone the right way early on, and feels like towards the later stage of the races, Alan, he's listened to your messages, and he's kind of felt that calming space, and he now just wants to take the fight up to whoever he can, and that will be sooner in the next couple of laps. If he can keep just nailing down that gap towards him, that Lexus not unreachable at this point, and most certainly, when we compare both drivers for where they stand, Patterson most certainly should be able to get towards the front a little bit more at this stage.
Should being the operative word, but I did see him get a little...
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
He still had a little tank slapper there through Parabolica, so he is definitely fighting the car, the setup. He's driven the Porsche this season. I don't know if he's going to stay with it. We actually drive the Ferrari and the other leagues that we race at, but I don't know. I'm not too sure. This car, listen, it's not an easy car to drive, so you've got to fight the setup, and I've got a feeling he's got the setup on such a sharp edge that, if you make a small mistake, it punishes you, and that's not how to set the car up. You've got to have a relatively stable race pace. And obviously with these conditions he's struggling a bit. I'm just going to jump forward to Jason Webb, who... Why does he look like he's so slow here? He is slow.
He is something. I mean, Jason Webb has been sort of struggling with some hardware issues in other leagues. I mean, I drive with him in the ATK series and was plagued with some issues there. Had some issues in some of the RCI stuff that I was doing when he was driving with Bash. So I'm not sure if something's gone wrong here for Webb, but he most certainly doesn't look like he's happy out on track.
No.
And he's going to be
he's in the
pits now as well.
I mean, he was 1/10 back from Rowe, and that's what, he was 4/10 back from Rowe, and that's why I jumped to him. And as I jumped to him, he was slow, and so he'd obviously had a moment probably on the back, in the back part, Lesmo 1, Lesmo 2, and
If Ian McKenzie's in the chat, can you give us some insight as to what happened? Oh, there he is. Webb, he's been using his wheel. He tapped the guy and is waiting for him. Oh, so there was an incident that came out, and
okay.
He went to go in and serve it. So it was giving the position back. Okay, so that's actually what came out there. No hardware failure. And like I said, Webb has been having some hardware failures. So he's out at Ian McKenzie's house and being able to use a wheel for the session. So, unfortunate race coming out for Webb here. Not having the best of time out on track, but all of this will benefit the likes of Etienne Kleb, who, after having to serve that mandatory qualification ban coming in here, finds himself up in 7th place and chasing down the likes of his teammate Hendricks, who's given himself a battle all over the back of Rowe. So Daniel Rowe is going to be feeling the force of the Am2Play drivers and the pressure going to be mounting very shortly. And it looks like a little touch coming out here. And Hendricks may have clipped onto the back of Rowe. Rowe from G4 Sim going to be having to mow the lawn out to Ascari, and not going to be happy about doing so either. Going to be sending the bull out towards Hendricks.
George,
most certainly.
Sorry to interrupt you. I can also confirm that Cody Sherritt's gone.
He's gone.
He was sitting in 7th, and I can no longer see him on the timing sheets at all. So he seems to...
He dropped out what looks like on lap 28 as our leader's on 31. So, I mean...
Wow.
Yeah, strange circumstances coming out. Some disconnect issues here. Rowe, side by side here with Sienerin. Of course, Rowe having been involved with that accident or incident with Hendricks, has now dropped down the field. He's lost out to the likes of Sienerin. Patterson potentially might be, putting some pressure onto him as well.
Yeah.
But Rowe, with 17 minutes to go, got to just keep his head down, know that, post-race, these incidents that we've seen get taken out to the stewards, and the stewarding team hands out relative penalties. And I mean, they're quite strict. Guys are getting handed out qualification bans and, for severe incidents, big time penalties as well. So it doesn't help to make those mistakes in the race. And when it shows up on your penalty sheet at the end of the season, it doesn't just disappear after that. Your penalty points carry through into the next season, and they only get cleared, like, I think it's in, I don't want to lie, 10 months time. Or there's quite a few months for them before they expire, not perspire.
George, Clinton Riddell on YouTube, how's it, Clinton, is saying that Jason was in for a fuel top-up. He was running out for fuel. That's why the late pit stop.
I mean, that would explain why he had to give the position back and then potentially stay even slower out. Maybe just making sure he could get to the pits to get some fuel.
Got you. Yep.
Most certainly been in those situations too. I mean, when I say I'm bad at maths, it's normally just in the race setup where, Alan, your commentator's curse continues, and unfortunately it comes out with your son.
I know.
I mean, I feel like I've taken Alan Patterson away from Kieran here as his race engineer. I feel like what happens during the race is Alan's in Kieran's ear. He's the voice of reason. He keeps him calm, and Alan now being tied up with having to do the broadcast here and deal with me for an hour and 20 minutes is... I've taken you away, haven't I, Alan? You can be honest.
I don't actually know how to answer that. Talk about on the spot.
No, yeah, that was a bit of a throw you under the bus moment, I guess. Kieran, yeah, just not having the race that he wanted to have, and it's not easy conditions. The Porsches do struggle. We've seen very dominant Porsche rounds coming out, not just in South African leagues, but all across the European circuits. I mean, the last AOR qualifying sheet that I had to look at for their new season that's starting up was pretty much a Porsche Cup. So it is a car that I believe, from some not so inside information, just some rumor on the block has it that might be facing a little bit of a balance of performance tweak.
A BOP, yeah.
It's a car that isn't easy to drive. It needs a setup. It needs a whole bunch of factors. But, the guys are getting a handle of it. And it does feel like it has a little bit of an edge on track. And that, from me, as a Porsche fan and a Porsche lover, is the hard truth. Because, you got to be unbiased in things. And when you start to do commentary week in, week out, you start to really notice the trends.
Yeah.
And I love seeing a Porsche, but just seeing so little of the other manufacturers that are in the game. My teammate Bruno Cadili had that chat with me today. He said to me, there's so many other manufacturers and everybody just runs Porsche. And it's true. You look at the side of our timing sheet here, it's dominated by the little Porsche logos, even though most of the grid isn't here. It's good to just see some new manufacturers always towards the front, and King and his Ferrari, like we said, at the Italian circuits, driving an Italian stallion. That's where you want to be.
Exactly. But just to throw a size 13 or a size 10 spanner into the works here, when's the last time you saw a Honda NSX, for instance, on a racing grid or near the sharp end of the stick? I mean, but you are right. I don't see them very often. There's some like alien drivers out there that take them for like a meme pick, and then suddenly they feature up towards the front. Exactly. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
The Bentley, for another example. I mean, it is a boat, but it's a Bentley. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Bentley. I've followed Jordan Pepper for years, and winning the Bathurst 12 Hours was just mind-bending. But nobody uses it, and then out of the blue, somebody drives a Bentley and gets it into the top 3. So these other manufacturers can do well. They just need some little bit of egging on. So now we're seeing a BMW is there or thereabouts. Okay, we got a Lexus currently in 7th at the moment, and the Nissan, the Godzilla, up in 4th. So Keba doing a great job with that. But what did you see?
Vogel and Van Coller were getting into such a great little knife fight battle coming out, and Vogel was just closing down onto the back of Van Coller here, and you won't see him in shot anymore because, unfortunately for Vogel, the Ascaris have claimed another Porsche, and right on that knife's edge, a little puddle into the array, and boom goes the battle brewing out. And Vogel was there. He was potentially going to be rivaling our Van Coller here, and that's not going to be the case. He's going to have to settle back in. He's dropped down to 12th place. He's got King, the leader, coming to lap him out, and he doesn't want to get in the way of that either. So he's going to be making some space for King at some point, and King is just having the race out at the front that he wants to have. I want to find what our next on-track sort of battle is, but the time gaps. That was it. That was Vogel and Van Coller. That was going to be the heat that we needed towards the end of the race. And I mean, 10 minutes is still plenty of time for more heat to come. I'm not saying it's not, but that was really, for me, what seemed to be coming. And Vogel was just looking like a mean machine at the time. I mean, he was just in control, and a little bit of radio commentary for what we didn't get to see before we moved away from it. But I mean, Jordan Sherritt up to 2nd place. I mean, that's big news that we need to talk about. I mean, he now is trying to chase down the likes of King, but with 11 minutes to go, is that going to be a story that we see? Is King going to put a toe out of line and potentially open things up, or will Sherritt make the mistake and Lewis comes up to take it. But I mean, 26 seconds behind Sherritt from King. I mean, it's just too much time, insurmountable amounts of time for King to lose out to Sherritt just on consistency from here. But if a mistake gets made from King, then, well, that's potentially still on the cards for Sherritt.
Yeah, we're just watching Kleb go around as he's chasing Nur Hendricks here, and he is etching closer. The gap's now under a second. This is the closest to us on the track at the moment for fifth. QQ on YouTube, George, is saying, what is a Porsche, Georgia?
Yeah, I mean, the Porsche Georgia is, just a beautiful little name there. I think I should change my name to that on Discord. Porsche, whatever.
Whatever.
Porky, whatever.
Yeah.
They, I love them so much that they have all kinds of little nicknames. Bay is the one that I go to when I want it to behave. But yeah, the Porsches and the other manufacturers out on track could definitely different here than what we've seen compared to the other circuits. So the rain and Monza not working out for our Porsche entrants this time round.
No. Yeah, that gap static at 20 plus seconds, 26.1. So, all right, sub 10 minutes left of this race. Kleb at the moment showing the most interest in getting past Nur Hendricks for his fifth place as we drive on board with him. The rest of the field are solid 5 to 10 second gaps amongst everybody. 17 cars left. We did start with 20, I think, so I know Cody's gone, but I don't know who else disconnected. Ryan Ottens has been in the pits for a long time, and Christos Basson, he's not here.
No, so Basson seems to have dropped out, so it really does feel like it's Kleb and Patterson are drivers that started from the back to drive on through. And sixth place here for Etienne at this point is a great position to be in. I mean, he's right behind his teammates, so it's two teammates on track together. I mean, they're in communication. I think as soon as Kleb becomes on the back end of Hendricks will let him through. He's not going to try and fight his teammate for a position.
I wasn't aware that these guys are teammates. Sorry, I didn't know that.
No, they are, but I mean, at the same time, it could mean nothing. It could be gloves out racing regardless. And I mean, if you are there and you are faster than your teammates and you guys are losing out to drivers behind, then I think, unanimously you make the decision to let the faster driver through.
Got you.
I mean, it's sim racing, right? So if you wanna prove in your team that you're the faster driver, well, then you're not obeying any team orders, are you?
Yeah. Look, unless they had some kind of a rule in place that was like halfway through the race, whoever's ahead, you get rights or something like that, or by the pit stop, whoever's ahead. But I mean, Kleber slowly but surely caught onto the back of Nur Hendricks here, and at some point something's going to happen. But if it's gloves off open racing, then all the best, go for it and make your move and see if you can get past. While this is happening...
Sorry, carry on, Alan.
No, Sunarayan's also catching these guys while these guys are fighting.
Well, exactly that. I mean, I was going to say the potential, right, is what? Catch up to Kaba 13 seconds up the road in 7 minutes, which is not really that likely, or fight each other and lose out to another driver from another team,
exactly,
who's 2.8 seconds down the road from you guys. So, it's again, it's that gamble to them. I know what my logical choice would be.
That's a different twist on it. Very clever. I didn't look at it from that angle.
And now they will. Logic aside, sometimes it comes down. You just don't realize where you are on track, and you don't have that third-person perspective all the time.
Yeah.
So it could just be two drivers now talking it out, and they're trying to decide who should be the one to come through. But I think that Hendricks is doing a good job at keeping Kleb at bay. It hasn't really got to a stage where Kleb feels holed up at a point. They braking in similar places, coming down into corners. I mean, Kleb's closing the gap down for sure, but hasn't quite got to the point where he's made the move or feels too blocked up.
Yes. But yeah, definitely. Sunerain's actually closing in on them as well. So down to sub 6 minutes now, 5 minutes, 50 seconds to go. I don't know what to make of it. I think you're right. I think you've nailed it. There's team orders in place, and I think Kleb's just driving around and possibly driving shotgun and covering the rear for Hendricks, and it's formation flying to the flag now.
Yeah, you know, we saw the flashes coming out from Kleb as well, which again might not indicate too much of defensive moves, and that's the mistake that Hendricks needed to make for Kleb to now have a clean pass. He's not going to get in the way of this coming down the straight, but looks like decent amount of speed able to carry. It's always the turbo grass in the wet, and now Kleb will send it down the inside. You see him moving over, and that's the teamwork that we know coming out, as Kleb was quicker coming down. Hendricks doesn't want to lose out time, and that's exactly where you want to be able to just be a little bit wider coming out. You're not going to lose too much down the start-finish straight. You still got a little bit of slipstream to work with too, but Zenerin's done great to capitalize on this. Drop a 2.8 second gap down to a second, and with 4 minutes to go, if he just keeps it in this, if Hendricks makes any more of those mistakes we saw there, then, I mean, look how late on the brakes the Lexus is going. I mean, this man likes to pedal in the wet.
He's throwing it in there. I'll tell you what, this is not over. We're going to go to cockpit with Sunerain, the big V8 Lexus. That Mercedes it's just there. We still got at least, what do we got here? 2 laps? 3 laps? 3 more laps to go. And like you said, under braking, look how he closes in. So Sunerain's looking very racy, and I tell you what, Nur is looking in the mirrors more than he's looking ahead.
For sure, and I mean the Lexus closing down in the braking zones is something that you, as a driver in the wet, feel intimidation by. You know, the drive outs and the traction on the exit of the corner is okay. But knowing somebody's going late on the brakes in conditions that you're not comfortable doing, that is just all over your mind. So you're instantaneously having to go defensive. You're compromising your exits. And I think Sunerin, struggling a little bit out of De La Roggia there, had to try and just keep the car in the straight line. Has cost himself a tiny bit of that edge that he wanted. But just look at him hunting down onto the back of Hendricks here. And this is the slipstream down. Hendricks is going to want to keep it on the inside line, but he's not going to either. He's going to just give it through. Sunerin is through and dusted. And what a drive coming out. And Hendricks here is not quite done, isn't quite aware, tries to turn in for the apex. A little bit not quite sure of where Sunerin was there, but Sunerin will drive through uncontested into 6th place by Hendricks. A good usage of the fight ahead from him on the final couple of minutes of the race. I mean, 2 minutes 40 to go. He's gapped him and then done some too as they come down into the braking zone for T1. And once again, looking a little bit slower into the first sector, and that's just gonna, if Sunerin gets another lap out of this, which he should do, Darren King on the track is just gonna go over the start-finish line now, so we will still see another lap coming out from these guys after this is done. And I mean, this is the fight that we wanted to see towards the end. Webb on screen at the moment in 13th place after having put some more fuel back in, licking his wounds a little bit out towards the back of the order here and down the field, but still doing okay. And wide goes Sunerin, and this potentially is going to open things up here for, look at the move coming out here from Hendricks through Lesmo too, but the inner cut coming back through from the Lexus. Side by side, they will go down the back stretch as they come up to Ascari, and it will be the drive out from the Lexus. He will have the drive away, but will be on the outside of the track, but it's enough to come back across for the racing line. So Sunerin manages to get it back, but then makes it all so loose coming out of Ascari, and Hendricks now senses this, and Hendricks gets loose. He kicks up a stir, and he's going to throw that ability to hold on to the back of the Lexus down towards the Parabolica. And the racing coming out here is just phenomenal. And I mean, this McLaren in the picture here, that's Bego Krobler. He's not in this He's not in this full position. He's down in 17th place.
Oh.
But he's on a puddle. He's on a curb, and he's managed to keep it off the wall. 52 seconds to go, Hendricks. You got to do this, mate. And went so wide he had to pay to get back on. But will continue to have the hunt down. But it's all done and dusted because Sienerin has got that 6th place and got that position that he wanted to do. And I don't think he's there to Kleb, like we said before. Kleb needed to be a little bit closer for Sienerin to be able to dance it out. But for now, it was all good racing. Webb and Patterson are going to change up positions on what is the second last lap, I believe. And right now, Patterson trying to get that back off of Webb. Inside line for the Porsche. Does he brake later? Webb in that Mercedes. Too wide. They are going to go through Parabolica. Beautiful sight to see indeed. And plenty of respect given to have the line done. But I think the inside line is secured for Patterson. They will stay side by side down the start-finish straight. And a straight-out drag race will ensue. And the Porsche will get the jump down over the start-finish line as Webb looking like he's pulling over to the side. Is he?
Did he think it was finished?
I don't know if he's thought it's finished yet.
I guarantee that's what he did, because the numbers go red up there. He probably thought that's the end of the race. He lifted and he was idling against the pit wall.
I think you might be right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that potentially has happened out there for him. And Darren King then is going to be our race leader here on our final lap. He is going through what I believe, he's gone through the second Lesmo and making his way down to Ascari. So, I mean, we'll follow along with King here as our race leader. Hasn't really got the stream time that he deserved. It sometimes happens when you have a runaway race out at the front, but you always do get a little recap towards the end, and this is just that for the number 138 Ferrari. A good drive coming out indeed the Fordzilla driver. Darren King has come out. He had a great quali to put himself in towards the front of the order. Early action just opened up the ability for him to swoop up the lead, and he's led the race since then. So Parabolica for the final time here, Alan, and just a great drive overall coming out.
Solid.
And it will be first place for round 5 going to Darren King in his 138 Ferrari, and flashes his lights, crosses the line, and will most certainly be happy to be glad with or done with the rain. Jordan Sherritt for Raceface Speed Labs GTWR with a comeback of note indeed. Should have been up to fight it, but wasn't there. Second place for him in the 634 Porsche will cross the line. And Brian Lewis, for certain, has impressed me today, has come out, stuck at contestants, and really had a good drive in his number 75 AMG. Will take home 3rd place and will pick up all the points and remainder on the podium. A big slide celebration coming out. Will be in the middle of the racetrack though for other cars, so will jump himself out.
Look at that, Godzilla 4th.
Godzilla 4th, and that's the sight we wanted to see, and a good sight indeed as the Resource Complete team Try Hard Racing GTR crosses the line there. Etienne Kleb.
Oh, Sienerin only a second back as they go down the back straight towards Parabolica. Last chance, throw it all in, dive, do what you have to. I think he's too far back.
I mean, if he's diving from there, he's gonna most certainly get kicked out by the steward. So I think he's gonna settle for the mandatory tuck in and claim my 6th place.
Solid.
But, Kleb with 5th place, and I mean it is almost that photo finish that you want to see. Down to the line, 5th place for Kleb, 6th for Sienerin. Hendricks will be there to scoop up some points too. Unfortunately, wasn't there to dangle with Kleb and Sienerin all the way, but 7th place for Hendricks. Van Kalla is going to take that Audi, our first finishing Audi, still within the top 10 over the line in 8th place.
Stuff.
Good stuff coming out indeed, and the Sandbag Racing team will be happy with the points they've picked up. The G4 Sim Porsche of Daniel Rowe claims 9th, and the number 4 will be okay with that. And Grayling will round out the top 10 in the number 16, Alan.
Excellent. It was actually a good fun race to watch. Very clean. 1 or 2 little issues and incidents, but that'll get sorted out as it does get sorted out. So all in all, sure, yeah, it was a great race to watch. I enjoyed it. I loved the time with you.
No, it
And
was Alan.
yeah,
It was really super. I think I know that your streams are all about the interactive side of streaming as well. So it was great having you with being able to put up the chat and have a little bit of banter there too. I think we
excellent.
might be able to even get some drivers in here for a little driver interview with you if you're keen
Oh,
to
good.
have.
Yeah, let's do that. I do that normally on our leagues. I bring in the winner of the race, and we have a quick two,
Well, I
three
mean,
minute
Alan,
chat.
will you do the honors for me and interview the drivers? I mean, I would love you to take the reins on that.
No problem, man. Sure.
Cool. So we've got. Let me pop down and see what's going and on, and then I'll be able to come back with some info. I can be your like I don't even know recon drone.
Recon drone. That'll work. All good. So great race from Monza tonight. A good win by Mr. King, and hopefully we'll be able to get him into the booth for a quick chat. Conditions were there for a reason. It was a tester, and the guys they did a great job considering the conditions. George, you back? What's happening, buddy?
I'm back with some good news. We're just trying to gather up the troops. We didn't make an announcement for the driver interviews
right. Okay.
in the driver's briefing, which is always my fault. I always forget to tell Bartus that we want to do them, and so we're just trying to get everybody together. Hopefully, we can hear from them, and we'll be able to bring you that shortly.
Awesome. I'm just closing that app down so long so we can just focus on this for now. And yeah, Jordan Sherritt, second place from a turnaround in contact on lap 1 and down to 14th. So essentially passing a pile of cars to get that result, and a great job done by him. But Mr. King certainly showing us the way around tonight, that's for sure.
No, he really had a spectacular race, and you know what? It comes down to that sort of, yeah, you know, it happened because we didn't get to see the drivers that were all in that sort of front running split able to fight it out. But
yeah,
that's the way that racing goes, and you know, you don't sign up for this to get a perfect race each time. Sometimes it's not perfect, and sometimes that's some of the beauty in it. You know, it allows for those drives from the back to happen.
exactly.
A reminder, I mean, you know, we saw the incidents coming out. People, you know, mentioned that there wasn't live penalties being handed out, and you know, live streaming is quite a task to do, and you need a whole team of people to be able to actually implement that successfully into a league.
Yep.
So I think post-race stewarding is the best way to go forward, and I think that you know, the drivers that have caused incidents and things have gone wrong, you know, if it's a racing incident, it's a racing incident. If there's big negligence, those people will feel the brunt of those penalties, and you know, those time penalties get applied afterwards, and it affects the points, etc.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, these guys are out here for championship points, so that's what really matters to them. And if you slap them with dropping out and being out of the points positions, that's where it really hurts. And race in, race out, you put the same amount of time in, and your points that could have been, you know, within a top 10 position in the league end you down towards the bottom order just because of your racecraft side. It really does start to bug you, and it makes you start to focus again. So,
yes.
Alan, I think we might just not have the availability for all our drive interviews at the moment.
No problem.
I mean, at the same time, I see that Del King is unmuted down at the bottom. Darren King, of course, he's chatting to Bertus Hugo at the moment. So maybe we get a little treat. Maybe we don't. But
I see Nur Hendricks has joined us on the YouTube channel. Lols, he didn't finish last. Nur, you had a great drive there. Archlord, yeah.
Oh, we've got Darren, yeah, we got Jordan, yeah. So do we bring them all in together? I mean, I'm gonna just let you take it away.
That's fine. Let's chat to the guys. I think they're in the interview room.
Yeah, I'll bring them in for you.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, cool. Let's just we'll just bring everybody in at the same time.
Everybody's in. Yeah, let's have a
we like to have a
party.
group chat. We'll bring Bertus Hugo. We'll bring Bertus Hugo in here as well, because it wouldn't be fun without Bertus. But yeah, welcome guys. Welcome to the interview room. Alan is going to take things away, but it was some good racing from our perspective.
It was awesome. Mr. King, are you there, sir?
Yes.
How was your evening, besides being a little bit boring, or did you actually have a good challenge out there, sir?
Yeah, so the first stint for me was super good. I was on it. Then when I pitted, for some reason the rears were just on fire. So yeah, it kept me on my toes really, especially towards the end of the stint, the last like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was really sketchy, but yeah, super fun race. Shame about Jordan and Lewis at the beginning. I think it was Lewis, right? Or Webb. They come together there and
yeah. But you say you had a bit of issues with the tyres on the second stop. So what are we saying? Did we have a differential in the pressures? Did you have something wrong in the setup?
No. So it was super good. I think the track just dried up, and the Ferrari for some reason it just overheats the rears. They were getting pretty hot.
Gotcha.
Not the actual temperatures, just the carcass temperature of the tyre. So it's just giving me a lot of oversteer. And as soon as that happens, it raises the rear ride height a little bit and you get a little bit more oversteer. So it's just about managing it. And also there's a few back markers struggling out there as well. That was kept me on my toes a few times.
Yeah, it looked good, man. Well done. Congrats on that, and good result for you.
Yeah, that's it. Going into the last round now. Hopefully we can take it to Jordan again, right?
Mr. Sherritt, how are you, sir?
Good in yourself.
Awesome, man. Shame you had a drama, but damn, 14th to 2nd. You certainly had you put the effort in tonight, sir.
Yeah, I definitely tried. It was interesting coming through the pack, especially in the wet. But just obviously look for mistakes from guys and then just capitalized on that. And I think that kind of made the difference to come through the field.
Definitely. Yeah. Look, I was saying you were certainly taking all the chances you needed to, but you seem to be so confident with the Porsche and how it handled. So definitely taking positions hand over fist for you right all the way through the race.
Well, not exactly. I don't know if you guys saw, but I did make a couple of mistakes. Went off the track, hit the wall again after my first damage, so it wasn't exactly smooth sailing. Yeah. I think I just managed to keep it on the track more than the others, and I think that's what made the difference.
No, Jordan, we called that your Monza Rallycross.
Rallycross
too, dude.
We saw that, man. Yeah, I was just going to check with George. Was that was you? And I was convinced that there's no way that it could have been a driving incident. I was expecting you to say a wheel disconnected or force feedback dropped out or something, because it looked you were going down the grass, man.
Yeah, no, I just caught it like tail slapped twice, and I don't know how I caught it, because when you lose the cars in this game, you normally just lose it.
Yep.
And I was like, I was surprised. So, the wall helped me slightly, so it kind of hit me straight, I guess.
Awesome stuff. Awesome. Great stuff. George, who else have we got here, my man?
We've got Mr. Lewis as well.
Oh, Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Brian Lewis.
Hello.
How are you, sir? How was that Mercedes drive for you tonight?
It was fun. Unfortunately, I lost it at a scory, which kind of really that tilted me a lot.
Tilted.
I was keeping the gap between Sherritt. I think it was 9 seconds.
Yeah, it was something like that, man.
I was trying to push, and I didn't realize my tires were like almost 33 psi. So I wasn't really paying attention to that.
Okay, so you were just driving. Never mind what's going on down below in the dashboard and all that kind of stuff.
I forgot about all of that.
Well, it was a good drive nonetheless, dude. A solid third place there for you as well. Besides the tires cooking, the car seemed to be... we were watching you in quali, and you were half a second up on your deltas, and you would throw everything away through the final corner, through... I
think it was a scory. It was the double right-hander. I think that's why I lost all my time.
Okay. Yeah, well, it was a great stream to watch, and thanks to George for letting me assist and help and follow everything here. Bertus, anything from your side, sir?
Not much. Just thank you, Alan and George, for casting the race, and congratulations to the winners, to the top three. I was down in the Pro-Am race, and we had a clean turn 1, which I was very happy about.
Excellent, man.
All good from my side.
Grand stuff. Right, George, I'm going to leave it up to you to finish us off for tonight, buddy.
Oh, thanks so much, Alan. So thanks, guys, for joining us. Thanks to all our viewers, of course. Massive shout out to our sponsors, Resource Complete, and of course, Black Ribbon Sim for partnering up with the likes of Raceface. And of course, if you guys want to get to the race levels that we've seen today from the likes of our drivers, we've got the Raceface Speed Labs driver coaching available. So if you want to go over to the website, sign yourselves up for that. You most certainly can find some tenths, and in my case, many seconds if I go and apply myself. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you guys next week for our final round at Spa, and we'll get to wrap up and see where our championship standings find us. So good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.